Hello and welcome everybody to the pilot episode of Esports Weekly. I'll be your host, Aggro. And look, this is going to be a lot of fun. Again, this is our pilot episode, so we're going to be changing some things up as we go along. But what can you expect from Esports Weekly? Well, basically what you can expect from all of our content here. Some serious discussions, some fun times. We're going to go through some bloopers later on, some pro one-on-one interviews. We're going to have Polar Bear Mike, the defending world champion, on with us today. We hope that you'll join us, and we hope that you'll give us some feedback on what you want to see in future weeks. But let's start it off, shall we? Let's wait no longer. We're going to start off with SPL predictions, go through each game week by week, and for that, I've got to have some people on the desk with me, don't I? It's Hindu Man and it's Taco. Guys, welcome in. Esports Weekly. We're back.
Yay.
We're doing it.
Wow, Hindu, let's
It's
amp up
Monday
the energy
morning.
Yeah, it's
what
Monday.
What are you expecting?
Yeah, but we're casters, Hindu. The days of the week don't matter. Smite 7 days a week, baby. Let's get into it then. What we're going to see to start off the SPL tomorrow at 1, it's going to be, let's see here, Energy versus Dignitas. Look, this is kind of the two parts of the triangle that we've been talking about at the top of Europe. Rival beats Energy. Energy beats Dignitas. Dignitas beats Rival. But is it going to continue here? I'm not so sure.
Yes, I think it's going to continue. I think it's going to continue going down the whole time. Dig seems to have Rival's number. They've had it the whole of last year, pretty much, except around LAN times, but LAN's a different story. Online play is completely different.
That's true.
And see, I'm on the opposite end of that. I feel as though Rival is a team that has probably learned from their mistakes in the last year, and that was one of the experiences that they had to go through, was constantly succumbing to the pressure out of Team Dignitas. But this time around, I don't think that Rival's going to take the same L twice. This is a situation that I am fully expecting them to recover from and probably surpass Dignitas here.
Well, for my money, I mean, if Rival is going to do it, it's got to be around Wolfie, right? Wolfie has been playing so well for Rival. He has really catapulted himself towards the top of Europe, in my mind. I mean, Pretty Prime hasn't had a very good season so far, Hindu. I feel like Wolfie's kind of been the guy for them. Yeah,
Wolfie's been very, very strong just lately, and not because he's been weak throughout the year previously or anything like that on the run-up to Worlds. He's just starting to stand out a little bit more. They're playing around him a lot with Rival right now, realizing that's where the meta is dictating towards mid, towards the jungle positions. So having Wolfie stepping it up and being able to put on big performances is important.
And Ice Baby has kind of been the semi-hyper carry, semi-setup guy. He hasn't been the adapting for Energy or anything like that. But Taco, it seems to fit the way that a Rival want to play.
It fits the way that they want to play because they're not just looking towards mid and jungle. A lot of these teams in Europe, at least for the top end section, have been looking towards synchronizing mostly around their mid and jungle. But with Rival, it's not just two individual members really that spark things. It usually feels more like a little bit of being synchronized between Deathwalker, between Ice, and then Wolfie and Vote and even Callus. All of these guys tend to just jump into the mix at the same exact time. It doesn't really feel as though there's any one particular instance that I can highlight in my mind of any of the individual Rival players sticking out.
It's kind of Rival's calling card, right? Is that they work better as a unit than you do. I don't care who you is. They just do it better. So, are they going to be able to find the victory? Taco, we'll start with you.
I give it to Rival.
All right, they break the triangle curse. Hindu?
No, curse continues. It's 2-1. I think it's going to go all 3 games, but it's definitely 2-1 to Dig.
I believe in Rival. I think I've got Rival in this one, mainly because Wolfie's been killing it so hard in that mid lane. But look, this is best of, like, it's going to 3 games, right? No matter what?
Sure. I definitely for me.
Like, I can't imagine that either Rival or Dignitas find a sweep.
I don't see this going as a sweep either way.
Can I also know, I can't be wrong, by the way. I won Worlds. Like, I predicted the whole of Worlds. So
you can't be wrong.
This one's easy.
Oh, well, then I'm really glad that we're going to be keeping track of everyone's predictions and keeping your percentages. So as soon as you see Hindu Man drop below 100%, know that the world is coming to an end.
I'm saying this game, easy 2-1 Dig.
All right, so make sure you get your voting in on that season ticket, and I guess listen to Hindu Man, or
he does create the whole script for the year.
That's true. He is the script writer. Keep that in mind.
Lasses came back. Like, what can I say? Like,
whoa,
I said it.
You're jumping ahead on the board over here. We're gonna get to that.
I had it on the board before you had it on the board.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
Fair enough. That we got this board from your board that you wrote.
That's right.
All right, let's move on to the next matchup. It's Obey versus Mousesports. And at the beginning of the year, I mean, I think everyone here would have voted for Obey easily right off the bat. But with the way that Obey's been playing, can you really do that anymore?
Yes, because it's against Mouse.
Okay, but Obey just lost to SK, who has arguably looked worse than Mouse.
No, I don't agree. I actually think Mouse is like the weirdest team.
See, and that's exactly why I think that Mouse is going to overtake Obey here yet again, because Obey has been I think, focusing so heavily around trying to get a draft and just any sort of playstyle that'll really fit them, with Raffer being that new addition. And I just don't think that they're going to really be able to expect that jankiness that Mouse has been bringing out. And it's only a matter of time before Mouse finally finds a hit that they connect with.
But same again, then Dignitas, I mean, Obey, obviously they can do the same thing. They can go down exactly the same route of like, they finally find a stride. And realistically, Mouse versus Obey is one of those games where Obey is going to look awkward, Mouse is going to look awkward too. Only difference is that Obey've been around the block before, and they'll just take the game late if they need to. I
mean, look, maybe Mousesports is looking in the right direction. Finally, Dardes played a Guardian for the first time last week, but we'll see if he wants to go back to those. I don't know, man. I feel every time I see Obey on the season ticket, I'm like ready to press A on that because, you know, I'm voting on my Xbox. I'm trolling most of the time at least. And then I'm just like, are they really going to win? Are they really going to look like the Obey that they're supposed to? I don't know. I got to go Obey. But I swear, if they burn me on my FP this time around, I'm done. I'm never voting for Obey again.
It'll be Obey here. I don't see Mouse winning this one. Honestly, for you guys at home, if Obey are playing against Mouse or SK, all you need to do is pick Obey. If it's any other team, Obey's going to lose.
But Hindu, you
would
have
have
just
already lost to SK.
That's what I mean.
You just cost people like 100% of their FP already.
That was last week.
Oh, so in the future only. In the future.
I never said the past, did I? Did I bring up the past?
Well, it kind of implied, I think.
No, it wasn't.
All right, Taco, who do you have?
History tends to repeat itself. I think Mouse takes it.
Wow, okay. So we got two for one
Don't trust
split.
her. Like, why are you here?
What do you mean?
We're 2 picks in the morning. Like, you're two wrong already. You're going Rival and Mouse?
Hey, at least I've got one right?
You're worse than Tom.
How does that get like one right? This sucks.
Okay.
All right. We can see. Don't worry. That's why this is going to be a weekly show so we can go over all of these predictions. Let's move on to NA. That's going to be on Wednesday. Kicking us off on Wednesday will be E United versus Trifecta. Look, the defending world champs, they seem back to me. These dudes look like they're on point yet again.
They're getting there, but their opposition they've been up against hasn't been the strongest. Yes, they found a couple of wins, but if you think about what they've played to try and get to that point, it's not the top cream of the crop. And I think Trifecta is one of those that is vying to be a cream of the crop.
Hindu, I've been against you in every single one of these votes so far, and I think I'm going to have to say it again here. This is going to be Trifecta's loss to take against E United.
Oh, you think Trifecta's going to lose?
Yes.
I actually have that too.
Yeah.
Oh, you guys are kind of jumping the gun a little bit.
That was the fun part. I had to get the look on your face when I said this is going to be Trifecta's, and then
I wasn't sure if you were just like throwing us a Tullyism where we have to like decipher what you actually meant, or
now
if
who's
that
skipping ahead?
was. Well, what do you mean? We're right on time, just like I thought. I've got a United as well. I mean, this is a United's, right? But Trifecta has looked better.
Do you know what? This is the one where I'm not fully confident in my opinion on this. I'm vying with E United because of the world champions and on the way back, but I still think Trifecta could do very well here.
Could be. All right, next NA matchup is going to be Counter Logic Gaming versus Space Station Gaming. And look, this is going to be the most exciting match of the week potentially in North America for me. CLG was dominant through the first half, but may have slipped off a little bit here, guys. I mean, they've lost a couple games in a row now that I think that probably caught a couple people off guard.
They have, but I think the big thing is about their opposition once again. It always comes into account what opposition they've been playing against. This is a big game for them, and they're going to bring out all guns blazing. You know, they're going to come out and try and swing against Space Station. This will be a very telling set of how North America is really looking this year.
I think for a lot of teams, too, they still kind of struggle at times with playing down or up to the caliber of opponent that they think they're against. And for Space Station Gaming, you know exactly what you're up against. You know that Baskin's been killing it every single set he's come out in the mid lane. You know that Ananser seemed a bit flaky and inconsistent at times, but still managed to pull it together because he's got the backup crew from the rest of Space Station just in case. And even then, most of the time, it's not even so much on Andy as much as it is just getting heavily targeted out, I would say.
I'm not going to lie. It's basically 2 members of Space Station versus the world. The other 3 could be wards right now.
Who are you going to name some names?
Yeah, Jeff and Baskin versus the world is what's going on. Barra and Aquarius and Andy could just be mobile wards, and I'm pretty sure this team will do okay. That's why Space Station are really strong right now.
Look, Baskin has been killing it so far this year. He's been the shining light for North American mid laners for sure. But CLG, after their loss to LG, are they able to bounce back? I'll go out on a limb first so you can berate me instead of Taco. I think CLG is going to get it done. I've got Counter Logic in this one.
I also have Counter Logic in this one.
This was a really hard decision for me to make, but I ended up going with Space Station purely because of the Baskin factor.
Wow, you really are against Taco in every way here.
Not intentionally. Like, honestly, with this one, this is the second one of the week. These are only 2 this week that I was kind of concerned about. The first one was a Unite versus Trifecta, where I've gone to Unite, where I think Trifecta could do it too. And CLG Space is another one where I'm like, I've gone CLG, but I do feel Space could do it too. It depends whether CLG focus out Basket and get rid of him.
Yeah, these ones they've been a little bit complicated back to back. I totally agree with both perspectives on that.
All right, well then we're going to head back to Europe on Thursday. First match there is going to be Dignitas versus SK. And for as hard as Dignitas' matchup is at the on Tuesday, I feel like this has got to be the opposite end. I mean, SK, they get some momentum. They beat Obey Alliance, but do they have any chance here against Dig?
I don't think they're going to be able to handle Dignitas quite yet. I think that it'd be a little bit too soon to call it that SK has figured out something that 100% works for them. I wouldn't be surprised to see them maybe try and bring back some of the stuff that they used to beat Obey, but I'm not sure that it's going to have the same success rate against Obey like it will Dig.
Dig's the hardest opposition for this team. Reason being is because I'm going to bring up Kivo and Trix. Used to be on a team with Funballer and Lobster. When you play with people for a long time, which those two did play with Lobster and Funballer for such a long period of time, they know how they work. They know how to tilt them. They know how to get in their head.
That's fair enough. All right, so I've got, again, I'll start us off. I've got Dignitas here pretty easily. 2-0.
Just move on.
Dignitas.
Dignitas.
If you had SK, we're done here. Like, so I'm like, okay.
Yeah, Hindu throws off the headset.
I would
fire alarm
there's no
style.
point in this. There's no point.
I will say I think the most crazy one I've done so far was just that second one with Mouse. And that was just, sometimes you get a hunch.
We're not done yet. We're not done yet.
I got a hunch.
All right, the gut feeling, I can respect it. I can respect it. Middle match on Thursday is going to be Energy versus Obey, which was a hype matchup kind of at the beginning of the year. Now Energy got the better end of Obey before. Emilzy just seems to have really meshed well with this Energy roster so far, whereas Raffer and the rest of Obey still kind of trying to work out what they've got. This is going to be an uphill battle for the boys on the Alliance.
And I'm excited about this one, realistically, just because it's Raffer versus Emilzy again. And Raffer talks a lot of crap at the start of the year, calling out Emilzy, having some fun with him at his expense. Emilzy kind of took it on the chin for the most part, and then, you know, he's answering back in gameplay. And results speak for themselves.
Now, at the same token, I feel like if there's a game that Obey is going to really be ramped up for, like, this is the one.
Exactly,
right?
yeah.
I feel like we might see Obey Alliance's best game in this set.
I do feel like we're probably going to end up seeing some of the best that Obey has put forth in Season 5, but I still am not confident that that is going to be quite enough to give them a set victory over Energy, because Energy, if there's one thing they love to do, it's carry out a set, because the more you play against them, the harder it is to win.
And now, this isn't part of the, we don't have a fancy graphic for anything like this, but is Adapting the best player in the world right now?
No.
Just yes or no?
No.
I don't think so.
No,
Second best player in the
Double
world.
no.
He's close.
Baskin?
Baskin.
I've got Adapting, but that's for a story for a different time.
Adapting is the best jungler in the world right now, I'll say that.
I just feel like junglers are impacting more than mid laners right now, so Adapting gets the nod because of that. But Baskin is
But then look
the
at
best
Space
player.
Station Gaming, who have just won all those games through Basket.
It comes down to role specifics. There's always going to be that distinct breakdown between role specifics and then overall. And
sure.
If I had to look at overall, I do think that Baskin all around is probably a more sound player than Adapting. But Adapting, when it comes to the jungle, I don't think anyone's coming close.
All right, fair enough. Just had to ask for you because the predictions seem to be like we're all on the same side here. I've got Energy in this one.
I went Obey. I'm joking, I didn't. There's no way.
Taco?
Energy.
All right, Energies.
I like FP.
Across the board. Well, I guess you've done pretty well for yourself so far on the season ticket from your predictions that I've seen.
Yeah.
Not so bad.
Yeah.
The continuation from your Worlds predictions seem to be working out.
Like,
so
I have
far.
a whole year to be wrong technically and just win Worlds again. I'm like, and I'm back to beginning.
Just like the actual players themselves, the World's predictions end up being more important than anything else. All right, Energy will finish off a doubleheader on Thursday with their game against SK. SK's got a rough doubleheader that day as well.
Yes, they
really difficult. I mean, is this even a harder matchup than Dignitas? You said that you think that Dignitas might be harder.
Realistically, though, this SK thing for them, like this week, we saw the standings and how the standings are going to work this year with like how many games you can take people to even if you lose. The best case scenario for SK this week is that they make a game 3 against either Energy or Obey.
And those are important because that's actually a big reason of the standings for LAN, how many games you actually end up playing, and we'll go into that at the end of these predictions. But that is kind of the question for me as well. Can SK even force a game 3 in any of these sets?
I'm not sure, but I do believe that we can expect to see at least one game 3. I don't think that I would expect to see that, though, against Energy.
I'm the same way as Taco.
So, Energy across the board. We all think Energy is going to 2-0 this week. So make sure you get your energy team badges because you'll get FP whenever they win.
That's a very good point.
Yeah, you got to make sure you
Can
grab
you,
those.
I've not even checked. Can you switch them in and out between games?
You can.
Yeah.
You can equip
That's
different
OP.
ones.
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
just buy all the team badges, support every team, and then make sure you
So if you
maximize
take,
your
if you
FP.
take my picks and just lock in those badges, right, during
Same
those
time.
games, then I'm making you even more FP, guys.
That's the genius move right there.
There you go.
All right, NA on Friday opens up Trifecta versus Splice. Splice is, at the bottom of the league as well, 1-6. But man, they have looked a lot better than I think that record really gives them credit for.
It's a rather unfortunate record when you think about it because they probably forced the most game threes out of any of the middle to bottom side of the NA SPL, and even comparing across the way for EU even, Splice is still just one of those teams where they can't quite seem to close it out and claim a set for themselves, but they're going to make sure that you stay in all 3 games with them.
Sure, it's name power alone with this team still. They're all trying their own little thing. I think they're just working too hard at trying to come up with shenanigans to deal with the opposition instead of 1 or 2 more of the team playing a little bit more of a usual role, a usual part of how this comp should work, their actual team dynamic. Problem is everybody wants to do a little bit too much, and I think that's where the downfall has been.
And Divios has looked very good in the solo lane. I mean, the best has had his great games in mid, which you can expect. Cyclone Spin, when he plays a Hunter, looks pretty good. When he doesn't, not so much for me. This one is pretty close, but I think Trifecta still gets the slight edge here.
Yeah, definitely Trifecta here. I was talking earlier on, I think E-United versus Trifecta, I think Trifecta could still beat E-United there, so I can't really turn around and go, well, I don't expect them to beat Splice.
Yeah, fair enough. Taco?
And I kind of feel the exact same way. This felt like a really hard decision to make, and I think I gave the edge to Trifecta mostly because of Mask, like comparing the jungles between the two. I think that Mask is just a little bit more experienced and probably, honestly, a little bit more skilled as well over Sino, but I could say the same thing when it comes to the mid lane breakdown between Trifecta and Splice. I would probably favor Best over Met Yankee.
Sure.
So it's a pretty heavy toss-up in the 50-50 factor, but you never really know, and in the end of that, I decided to go with Trifecta.
All right, Trifecta looks like they might come out on top there. But again, I think Splice has looked better than their record indicates, so if you're a Splice fan, don't worry too much. Certainly worth picking them on your season ticket. Next up is a really big doubleheader for Luminosity. Luminosity gets some momentum. They beat Counterlogic Gaming last week. Now, can they convert this week? Because they've got some tough matchups. First up is going to be Space Station, who, as you guys have said, Baskin may be the best player in the world right now.
Yeah, he's really solid. He's just all-around performances. He's making things happen on his own. It's not often you see solo kills from anybody in the Pro League these days, but Baskin's the one that seems to have a higher chance of doing it and shown he can execute. There's 1 kill on a Raw that he did this past week when he was playing Toth that was just how? Like, how did that happen?
We'll get another look at that. I've got a feeling
we will?
later on
That'd be great.
in the show. Yeah, I mean, LG has, I think, looked infinitely better than everyone was kind of giving them credit for. I do think this has potential to go 3 games. I'm just not sure that LG has just enough. I think that Space Station is just a hair better than CLG right now, and that's where LG will fall short.
I think that would have to be my mindset. I'm not confident that this goes all 3 games. I am kind of looking more towards that mid lane matchup, though, for sure, because I think that Keegs has been a huge part of the reason why Luminosity has found so much success here in Season 5. Keegs has looked a lot like Baskin for that team because he's the one most of the time hard carrying on a lot of these mages. It's got Bull so insanely flexible that it's helped out Luminosity in a lot of tight spots, and
yeah.
I just think that in a way he kind of reminds me of like a newer version of Baskin, where he's not quite as experienced and he needs like a little bit more polishing, but give him like a year and some change, and I think that you've got a very solid player.
It's funny, I was going to say exactly the same thing. I think this is a very good litmus test for LG in terms of, I think the guys in the roster of LG right now have looked really good in their role and actually performed better than most people expected. But against Space Station, it feels like Space Station on paper have that roster that's ever so slightly better, and LG want to become that. So I think the individual matchups in this game is going to be very important to see how people are doing. Keegs versus Baskin's going to be big there. Weekend up against Andy. Then you've also got the solo laners too. I think it's going to be a really good one.
This could possibly be the most important dual lane set as well, because we actually haven't seen too much out of Cloud, aka Vedium, and I think that between Cloud and Gino as well, they've got their work cut out for them against Jeff and Barra.
Funny enough, I think it's Barra's got his work cut out for him because Cloud seems to be playing better than him right now.
Yeah, Cloud's actually played very well so far for Luminosity, so excited to see what he can do there. I'll start it off. I've still got Space Station, but I still believe that Luminosity is going to put up a pretty good fight here, guys.
It's going to be Space Station. I think it's still going to be 2-0, but I also do think this is the way LG gets better and actually improves even further than what they already have.
I'm with Hindu on this one. And if it is a 2-0, it's not going to be quick and easy 2-0s by any means. Like, I'm expecting this to go 40-plus minute games even.
And Baskin gets a snipe.
Probably.
It's over.
That's what always happens when they need it.
Yeah, it seems to be that so far. All right, last game of the week that we'll see, guys. It's going to be Luminosity up against Splice. These dudes, I mean, Luminosity has looked better. Splice, this is one of those matchups where you feel like, you know, if they're going to find a win this week, it's got to be in a matchup like this. But it's a tough one for them.
I was going to say, strong disagree, because the way LG been playing, the way we just spoke about them against Space Station and like being really strong this year, LG have brought it together quicker than Splice have. Yeah, and that's pretty much the storyline there, is that Splice, LG, both new rosters to an extent. A couple of members been on the same team before, sure. But bringing it together, LG's been the team that has stood out more.
And see, this goes back, though, to what we were saying earlier, where teams tend to play up or down to the level of the opposition they're against. I think that Luminosity is the embodiment of a team that falls victim to playing against the caliber of what they expect the enemy team to be made of.
And that's to do with mindset more than anything else, of like, oh, hey, yeah, we've seen their performances this year. They don't look so good. We can beat them. So you don't either, A, put as much focus into it, I guess, or like just kind of be a little bit more lackadaisical about the set and then give them the enemy team an opportunity to get back into it.
You really can't do that against a team like Splice. They've proven that they'll take you to the very brink on if they're going to find a victory or not. So, do you think they'll find a victory here, Taco?
I think that Splice ends up winning this because of that factor of Luminosity not being in the right mindset, potentially.
No, LG win.
This one is nearly a coin flip for me, but the coin landed on Luminosity. I've got LG. Again, I believe you and I only disagreed on one this weekend.
Which was Dig Rival, right?
Yeah, Dig Rival, yeah. Which is going to be a close game. Now,
Taco,
Taco, on the other hand,
I'm just trying to make it fun, man.
No, I appreciate that. We are going to have our
Mouse
own...
over Obey. Mouse over Obey is not fun.
You
That's
can't tell
crazy.
me you've never had like one of those absurd feelings before where you're like, this might be
lose
wrong.
This game.
Like, I'm looking at Mouse and I'm looking at Obey and I'm like, you know, there's no
if your life
rational reason why Obey should ever lose here, but they might.
If your life is about to end, would you go Obey over Mouse over Obey? No, you wouldn't.
Okay, I would probably still go with Mouse in this set.
Wow, the gut feeling is there. Well, first of all, Hindu, we all try-harding like that if our life depends on these FP picks. We're just trying to
FP is important.
We're having a good time
I understand, guys.
I'm already level 32.
FP is important.
Yeah, well, yeah. Taco, with her weekly gem allowance, has actually just bought her way to the top. Doesn't even need the FP, so maybe she is just taking advantage of you guys. That does it for our predictions here. I believe we have the standings to show you exactly where everyone is sitting thus far. As I was talking about, the plus minus you've kind of been seeing on the bottom side of your graphics, those are just the team's wins subtracted by their losses. So on the right-hand side, this is how we're going to be determining seeding for LAN. It's all regions put together. So Splice, as we said, they force more game 3s than the other 1 and 6 teams, and that's reflected in their plus minus.
Yeah, be involved in more games is what the big key here is. If you can take teams to a game 3, you're going to have a bit more of a bonus than a team that gets 2-0'd every single week, and that's exactly how the standings show you.
And it's surprising to see that CLG actually had a 0 in the plus minus despite having a positive win-loss record. So they've been finding 2-0s or getting 2-0'd pretty consistently
all going 3 games and then losing, 3 games and winning. So it balances out.
Balanced out. All right, that does it for our predictions. Thank you guys for joining us.
You're welcome.
We're going to be moving on here. We've got a lot of fun that goes on behind the scenes that you guys don't necessarily get to see every week. So check out some bloopers.
Adapting, trying to make that play. I like it. I respect it. You try to just go in and dink the Titan, but you don't dink the Dinkmeister.
You don't. Everyone knows that. That's like dinking 101. That you don't dink the Dinkmeister.
I'm telling you. Distances is devoured jumps, so it's definitely important to know when you're in that oh no danger zone moment that you just have to use your ultimate bat out of hell to cover like 3,000 miles. That many? You know, on a good day, it's normally only 500 miles. I mean, I'd walk that. Yeah. I'd walk it too. Colors. To game 2 here,
between energy and
What's your mic
Mousesports.
flying?
What is it all over the place? That sounds great, I bet. Thank you, man.
No problem.
Thanks for chatting. I bet that sounded awesome.
That's fine. Who do you think's MVP for this game?
MVP? I think you meant who will win. Who's gonna win?
But should tell me MVPs. I'm like,
Yeah,
MVP.
who was? Why was?
I don't like sweet stuff.
I'm
like
right there
jelly.
with you.
I don't like getting sticky.
Yeah, I just don't think it's worth it.
Dignitas getting sticky.
Hey, what's good, Smite fans? It's me, not that aggro guy. We have a lot of fun here, but it's going to be more fun with me. Smite Pro League has been really exciting so far. We're in week number 4. Actually, we're in week number 5 now. That'll be on the bloopers next week, I'm pretty sure. But anyway, watching these teams and these players come out has been really, really intense. Basically, we've been around here for what? This is our 5th season. There's always been a justice. There's always been a thirst. I promise, Wolfie, I'm never going to stop making fun of you for thirst. But these days, everybody's a little bit more competitive. With only 6 teams in the region, everybody really coming through and playing on top. We're left with a lot of top plays, a lot of top moments. So I basically boiled it down to 3, but it was pretty tough. I mean, we had all these junglers coming out and putting on fantastic performances. Achilles, not my favorite character right now, but a couple of people did put him on display. Shouts to Benji. The Hunters, well, forget about the Hunters. But the Guardians also came through and had some plays. But really, I think the Mages were what was on top. Watching these guys come out and play, I mean, you heard him on the desk. Baskin could be the best player in the entire world, whether or not that's true. I think we have yet to see. My 2 cents on who the best player in the world is, I still want to say Zeros, but I don't think I can. But anyway, Baskin is going to start us off here on our top play, well, our 3rd top play of the week. And this one is a little bit long, but I think that's kind of the point here, because it's all about this positioning. Doth is this long-range mortar artillery type guy. He gets bothered by the bear real quick. But then he just continues on. He picks up a kill on the left side, then he shoots out some nonsense, and then he's going to moonwalk backwards and find the stun to really secure that. And then after the fact, this is really, I think this is the meat and potatoes. Ready? Right through the wall. Doesn't even got to look at him. Doesn't even got to look at it. Just clean stuff. Cool guys don't look at explosions, and Baskin certainly made that guy blow up. I think that was a roar? I don't know. I'm looking at somebody offset. But either way, fantastic stuff coming out from Baskin. More mages coming out here. Wolfie is going to be our number 2 here. The European Wolfie. The runner-up at Worlds Wolfie. Rival Wolfie here on the Raw, being aggressive. His team's sieging here in what looks like the duo lane. And just watch how he's able to just dance in this team fight. He drops down the battle heal. And then right here, long range, snap! Ooh, that's so much fun. The doubleoon. And then finishes it off with the tertiary kill. They told me they would hurt me or fine me if I didn't actually say doubleoon in the segment, so you're welcome. We got that one through, but I mean, this is the one that I really wanted to see. Number 1 was really, really impressive, coming out from Zeros here. That's funny, I wrote his name down, silly. But let's just watch this. Let's just watch this clip, because this is the one that I wanted to see. This is defending the Titan. Look how low this Titan is, 25%. And this Lonely Raw comes through, drops the battle heal, and then he drops everybody else. Look at that. There's 2, and there's 3, and Zeros literally saves the game for his team. This is the type of stuff that I sort of wake up for, and if you weren't awake, I'm sure I've woken you up with my excitement over the Raw guy. Fantastic stuff. I mean, that's really all you can say, is that when you're able to single-handedly defend your Titan, that's the good stuff. Shout outs to Wowie. Now, not everybody's on top. Somebody's on the bottom. And we have our top fails of the week here. And I couldn't really figure out a single place. So we just went with the whole set. This one was just really rough and tumble for the players on the bad side of things. SK Gaming won a set. Obey Alliance here wind up falling to the wayside. And I said top fails, and this is an all-original joke. There's fails on the screen. Nobody gave me that. Definitely not aggro. It's not his. Just give me credit. And right here, give SK some credit. Because Obey is our failure of the week for losing to this team. They started out the season 0 in a billion. They had a bad support. They swapped him out for a substitute support. Who the best, who's actually, all credit to him, been standing up well, but this team just hasn't been able to find their stride. And jokes aside, there's a lot wrong going on for SK. So here, them beating a team like Obey Alliance, a squad that's supposed to be one of the best, not a good look, my friend. Obey losing to SK is going to be our fail of the week. Special shout outs to SK for actually earning that victory, though. That was a lot of fun to see them actually bring it to them. Fails actually, you know, on a positive note, Fails stood out. And I think what SK is missing is that standout player. You've got Lobster and you've got Funball, and watching these guys sort of step up sometimes works out. But realistically, I think Fails needs to be one of those guys. But I'm not their leader, so I'm not going to be in that position. But I did get the chance to speak to a fantastic leader. Polar Bear Mike, the defending world champion and support player for E United. I got a chance to sit down with him earlier on in the week. Let's take a look at that. Hey, what's good, Smite Nerds? Tom Badger here, F. Dot. And recently I got a chance to sit down with E United support player Polar Bear Mike. This guy has been fantastic. He's one of my favorite leaders to watch. Let's take a look at parts of that conversation.
We're week number 4, and you guys have turned up. So luckily, this interview has come to the point when you guys are doing well. But let's focus when you weren't. I mean, week number 2, I respect you as a friend and a colleague. That's why I'm going to say it. You guys were just bad. Was there a particular reason?
So there's a lot of excuses people can make, and I've heard people say stuff like, oh, the meta doesn't favor them. Like, I think that's BS for one. Like, that's just a BS excuse to make.
I've heard that, and I also agree.
Yeah, so I think that's BS. I think there is kind of that post-Worlds thing, but I also think that's BS because Scream and I as people, like, I actually tweeted about this, and it was when I was thinking of it, like, I actually hate losing way more than I liked winning. Like, winning Worlds is cool and all, but, like, I really get pissed seeing myself lose to people who I don't think we should be losing to. So I don't really think that post-Worlds like thing really affected us. I think what did was we missed a lot of scrims. People have had real-life issues that have led to missing those scrims, and also just kind of mental things. And like I said, I really think it's important to have everybody be in a kind of a good mental state and, you know, enjoy playing and just kind of be comfortable with themselves and like around the team. And I don't think that was the case. And then we turned that around. I'd say like early March, we turned that around, and we were scrimming SSG, who are our scrim partners, and we were doing well. We would win, you know, plenty of games. I mean, comparatively to how we were doing at Worlds or going into Worlds, I mean, it was basically same old usual scrims. And then the week before we played LG, everything just went to shit. And I don't know why. I think people just had, without naming names, just to like keep their personal life out of it, people had personal life issues, and people were just like feeding every scrim and just like not being a great teammate. And it transferred over to the LG games where I feel like it looked worse than it actually was. Like, for example, in that LG game, Panda got soloed, which in the time that I joined the team until then, that had never happened. Like Summer Split, Fall Split, Regionals, Worlds, I've never seen him get soloed in an SPL game. And then that happened, and then we got really behind, and then we still fought our way back into that game to a point where we should have won. And then I think the scrim thing kind of came in where we called to end, and half the people didn't listen to it. 2 of the 5 didn't listen to it. So then they got killed, and then we couldn't end the game. Then we ended up losing, and then off of that, like, people get frustrated. People like overthink stuff about, like, people just overthought stuff too much. But really, what happened was we just played bad. And then I do that Arachne shit, and then everybody's tilted. And then at that point, like, that's just a 2-0, which is whatever. We play Space Station, and we thought from scrims that was going to be a tough match. I expected to win at least one game. We ended up having, you know, like a 60-minute game where we're literally sieging for like 30 minutes into Thoth, and Baskin is just, you know, killing us. And that game was super close as well. And then same thing, we try a new start that we never did in scrims. We get stomped game 2. And then we go to Vegas, we have a show match, we miss some scrims, and then we go into Trifecta, we get huge lead both games, and then Panda gets picked out of red buff. I actually like heavenly him away from a Sobek ult, and then he 180 turns back into the Sobek ult instead of living, insta dies, and then I literally just said like, what the F are you doing? And I was so pissed at the time. And then like we end up having 2 huge leads both of those games. We just throw them, and then like that week we just like talked through all of our problems, some of which were existing before Worlds. Salt and I brought up a lot of things that we did not like about the team before Worlds, and they ended up not getting fixed, and it just didn't end up mattering. And then those kind of resurfaced, so we went over all those, and now we're to the point where we kind of just cut the shit, and then we're in a much better spot because everybody kind of received criticism, and everybody's a little bit more grounded, and everybody knows how to work with each other again. And now, like, I don't know what the chances are, but I really would not be surprised if we ran the table, because we almost did that in the summer as well. Like I mentioned, we got 2-0'd by ALG and by Noble, and then we played 2 of the top 3 teams, being LG and SOAR at the time, and then we went like 3-1 against them, and like it felt like we were just much better than them, but we just dropped games we shouldn't have dropped. And then we, you know, basically ran the end of that, only lost like 1 game, went 5-1. And if we do that again, I feel like we'll just make LAN and we'll be fine.
Are you a guidance counselor, a general, a mom, or a bro?
Maybe all at once. I'm not really sure. I think that with that whole meeting, it wasn't just me. So I think at the time, the 2 players who we really thought were kind of off their game was Panda. Like I said, he had never gotten soloed, and I think Panda maybe was the only one affected by that kind of post-Worlds thing where he felt like really satisfied, he was focusing on his real life, and then Ven was just playing like completely uncharacteristic. And it was weird because Ven went from like, Ven was our most improved player by far. I mean, I think that's to be expected from somebody who's basically a rookie in the mid lane, and you know, he had basically stagnated a little bit, and we were asking what was going on, and he didn't like the way that Scream and I were playing, and like he never brought it up to us, so he didn't tell us like, oh, I don't think the way you guys are playing the map is right or whatever. And then like he wanted us to play off him more, so then we went into those games, and then we worked with Ven more, I worked with Panda more, we kind of let Salt do his own thing. Like we went from kind of playing off Salt's side of the map to letting him do his thing and trusting him to rotate when he needs to. And then I focus on Panda, Scream focuses on Ven, where it used to be I focus on Panda and Scream focuses on Salt, and we just let Ven be alone. And I don't think that's good on this season because of how much farm mages get. So basically, like, we all talked through our ideas or our problems, what we thought was good, bad, how our builds went, or like what builds we thought were good and like what characters did well with them. Basically just completely rethought the entire season, and then we scrimmed with that. And then I think there was like instant improvement because all the issues were talked through instead of people being on different pages. And I feel like with Scream, I'm more of, I have to be a lot more stubborn with Scream and kind of like nail ideas into his head. Otherwise he's kind of like a little bit, I guess like a little unwilling to change his ideas. And I think whereas with Panda, I'm more of like the bro sort of thing where like we'll each go at each other a little bit, but in the end, like we have like a really good understanding of what we want to do. And then with Ven, it's probably more of a guidance counselor of like him talking through his ideas, why he thinks it's good. And then like if I notice a hole in it or like, you know, something doesn't make sense, then I bring it up to him, and then like it just works a lot better. I don't know if that really makes sense, but that's kind of how I feel about it.
No, that makes total sense. Again, like anything you want to say to the fans or anything before I let you go?
For people who have supported the team throughout Worlds and everything, we just appreciate you guys a lot. And obviously to United and my teammates and everything, you know, it's been great to kind of just go through this ride with them. And then for everybody who called us a fake world champion in Twitch chat or Mixer chat, I should say, if we end up making LAN or whatever, I would please like you to Twitter DM me that you said that. And then, yeah, I don't know. Thank you for the positive inspiration by calling us fake world champions, and for getting off the bandwagon, because I don't like bandwagon fans, so I appreciate that.
Thanks again, Mike. Take care.
Peace. Thank you.
That was a lot of fun talking to Mike. Always is my absolute pleasure. That said, it's going to wrap up the interview section right here, so we'll catch you next time.
All right, everybody. Sorry you had to deal with F. for a while there, but I'm back, and everything can be okay, at least for a couple seconds, because as soon as we go to this wide shot, you're going to realize that F. is now sitting here with me, alongside the one and only Young Link,
yeah,
John Finch,
yeah,
Darth Star,
Oh, no.
Oh, we didn't mean to go quite that far. We got a couple cool things that happened in the community. Some sad, some good, and we'll start with the sadder part. Couple long-time pro players deciding to leave the SMITE competitive scene. Still playing the game quite a bit, but Incon and Chapo decide that it's time to hang up the pro jerseys and head back towards that streaming life.
Yeah, I mean, watching these guys step away from the game, kind of sad. I was really excited to see Chapo do his thing. Incon's been around for a long time, and it's probably the right move.
Lots of support for these dudes on Twitter as well, John.
Yeah, and it's kind of tough, you know. One of the first teams that I was ever a real fanboy of, I guess you would say, is that old AFK roster, you know, with Incon and Kiki and them when they were so dominant. So it is kind of tough to see Incon leaving the scene, but I mean, I'm glad, you know, if he's feeling more comfortable now that, you know, that's what he's doing.
Don't worry, you can still catch all of Incon's morning streams. The Incon queues won't be going away. Chapo as well. You know, obviously someone that I'm a little sad to see go, someone that brought me into the scene and really taught me how to play Smite and understand the game, but you know, I believe that he'll be doing good stuff wherever he goes. You can try and step away from Smite as much as you want. Smite will pull you back in. I've got no doubt about that. And speaking of that, we have someone who stepped away from the game for a little bit and now is coming back. Lass is actually returning to stream some games, Tom.
That was really sick. You know, he kind of cheated or what's the word I'm looking for? Sneaked it out there, and I was excited to really catch it. He was one of my favorite people to watch once upon a time, and you know, there it is. There it is. Teased is the word I was looking for.
There you go.
He teased it out there.
If only our industry had something like teasing that you could, you know, use as a reference point for that word. You know,
like what?
Like whenever you tweeted just a picture of the screen and mixer.com/smite game. That was a teaser, Tom.
Yeah, I did that.
Yeah, just like Lassus did.
Yeah, and he and look, this is the most important part, is that he had fun watching this guy, you know, and I think that's really important about, you know, watching the other streamers. They say that they step away, that they're leaving, whether it's just a step away or they're coming back. Everybody, you got to have fun with the game if you're doing this sort of thing, pros included. So no ill will towards anybody. It's cool to see Lassus come back, and I think at the end of the day, it's just about having fun with the game.
As you were saying, Finch, one of the first people that you were a fanboy of, you know, team of Incon, Lassus for me, brought me into the Smite. You know, I loved watching him play. Super excited that he's been having fun with the game again and streaming it a little bit. Okay, so those dudes who, you know, may have stepped away from the game a little bit might not be super in tune with the meta. So we figured we'd have a little bit of a meta discussion. Now, if you guys aren't aware of what John Young Link Darstar Finch is like behind the scenes, my man could argue. That's like his bit, is that he, you know, debates star back in the day. And we figured it was time to debut this part of Finch that maybe you guys aren't as familiar with. Finch, what are you angry about today that you want to argue with Tom about?
There's tons of things, but in particular, I'm very angry right now because Tom seems to be of the mind that Achilles loses a few games and now all of a sudden he's bad. Achilles is still OP, I say, Aggro. He's still OP.
So that's going to be our topic of discussion today, Achilles, and if he is very, very strong or not. I'm going to use the correct nomenclature that we're supposed to be using. Well, and I will be divvying up points, so feel free to just, you know, lick my shoes, if you will.
I didn't agree to that part of this.
You don't have to. Okay, Finch already -1.
Great.
I didn't agree to it, but I'd be happy to do so.
Wow.
Tom, -1 for ass kissing. Now let's move on. All right, Tom will give you the opening point here. Why is Achilles doing so poorly at the competitive level?
Well, I mean, when it comes down to it, I don't think he's terrible. Let me put that first and foremost. But he's definitely not as strong as this guy thinks. I mean, at the end of the day, the character doesn't really do much.
This is going to be easy.
Okay.
Free.
I mean, that's where I'm going to start off with. He doesn't really do much.
Okay. Finch, your retort?
I mean, I feel like you're burying the lead a little bit here, but he has an execute that resets in a team fight. That's pretty good.
That can be body blocked.
That's true. It also does an execute when it hits. There's tons of abilities that can miss, and we don't say they're bad, but it's certainly a strong ability that he has at his disposal. He has the stun. Yes, has to be close range, but can also hit multiple people, and you can't kill the guy.
1 point for Finch. Agreed that the cone stun is a super big deal for him.
The cone stun is super easy to avoid. First of all, it's just in that little area. It's easy. It's just like a Ymir cone where you can walk up to the guy and not be stunned by it. And the guy, the way that it deploys takes a little bit of finesse. I have watched pro players. You know how you not get stunned? You run in a circle. It's that simple.
Yeah, you do the little loop-de-loop around him.
You just run in a circle.
Yeah, that might be true if Achilles couldn't take his armor off and make himself faster, and then just spin and then hit you with it. And then if he does hit you with it, then he executes you, Tom. I can't believe that I have to explain this to you. I'm shocked. I am shell-shocked.
Okay, look, let's do. Is he a better jungle or solo, Finch?
I think that Achilles is better in the jungle role, and I think that the stats would support that. When he's played in the support position, he doesn't bring enough. When he's played in the solo lane, you feel like he doesn't bring enough. But where you really want him is in the jungle, where he can impact the games early, do the tons of damage that he does. Even if he misses the stun, he's still hitting you for a bunch of damage, and then you're dead. That's enough from your jungler. That feels like enough.
Tom?
Aggressive solo lane. Now here's the thing: when you're talking about picks, it's a lot more. It's a lot less cut and dry than just like, okay, I'm going to pick this guy in this position. When you're picking Achilles, and I understand why the pedestrian thought process might be that he's a jungler.
I like that word. Point for Tom.
The idea that he is damage oriented and in the solo lane works out. Shouts to Kamazats, shouts to Chalk, two characters that are ridiculously strong right now. So if you put him over there in the solo lane, you give him a little bit of power plus that passive. He's obviously a better solo lane if he's built tanky because he gets to make use of that execute.
Just FYI, Kamazats usually is built tanky when he's over there, so I mean.
And he should be 5 tank, 1 damage, and we don't see it enough.
Okay, here's going to be a little bit of a lightning round, if you will, where I'm going to ask you each a question. Whoever gives the better answer, I will award a point. Best first item after boots for Achilles. Finch?
Crusher.
Tom?
Glad Shield, he's dumb.
Well, I don't want him in the solo lane.
Crusher. Point for
Even
Finch.
if you're in the jungle, Glad Shield is the better choice.
Next question. Okay, another point for Finch because Tom is super wrong. Next question.
So easy.
Next question. Do you prefer the recolor, the default skin, or that Revenant Achilles skin? We'll go with Tom first.
I've actually really struggled with this one, I'm not going to lie, because I like the original. I think the coloring is correct.
Yeah.
But the recolor, that's my dude Pretty Hair from Paladins.
Ooh, good point.
So I give it to the recolor because Pretty Hair's literally in our game. Shouts to Nick.
Finch?
It's very rare for me to say this, but I think this is an example where the base skin is just the way to go. It's very much the pretty Achilles, that guy. That's like his whole thing. Is that he looks better than you, and he's also better than you. So the base skin captures that.
I would have given it to you, Finch, but Tom's point of it mirrors Pretty Hair perfectly. That's my boy, young Nick Keogh. I'm giving it to Tom.
I didn't know we could invoke other people to get points, by the way.
Of course you
I can
can.
just say other people that you like.
I am the judge,
Pittsburgh
jury, and
Steelers
executioner
are really good,
here,
by the way.
Finch.
I would like a point.
Mackenzie, the dog is really cool, by the way.
Point
This
for
is
Tom.
unfair. Wait.
Point
what?
for Tom. My dog is the best dog on the face of the planet. Now, Achilles, first pickable. Tom, yes or no?
Absolutely not.
Finch.
Yes.
Point for Finch. Agreed that I've changed my mind. He is worthy of that first pick only because of the flexibility
it's
he
Achilles.
brings to your
10
team.
points to Tom, the most correct answer there ever could have been.
Well, there you go.
Woo!
Young man Tom.
I didn't know he was
10
literally
points
here.
for Nick
He
Keogh
was
coming
actually
in
here, like, in
and
the
giving
building.
it. Finch, you know, it was a good attempt in your first debate segment, but
Wow.
here's the 12 to 3, the final score. Look, it was a blowout only because Tom gets the big swing with the pandering to the crowd. That's your lesson to take home here,
Yeah.
Finch, is that pandering is going to be very, very important. That's a
I've
big
learned that
key.
pandering works, and you don't need to be right.
There you go.
Basically, Twitter.
Well, Tom wins this one, but Tom had a moment that he may want to forget sooner rather than later. This week's moment that we're going to show you guys is when we had a little bit of a fire situation happen while we were on the desk. I feel like they are really lost right now on what is good. Got scared there by the fire alarm. I feel like they are really lost right now on what is I feel like they are really lost right now on what is good. Got scared there by the fire alarm. See ya, Tom. I'll take care of it. You can just bring it to the solo right here. There you go. That was your moment this week. You could probably hear Tom laughing over there. That was an enjoyable one. Kind of caught us all off guard. But that's part of the fun. We had to make a special moment there that wasn't just about the bloopers because that was that different from the rest of the week. So that's your community little notion there. Excuse me, you won, Tom. How can you be throwing something at me at this point? You did it. Let's check in on the minor league. We'll start in North America. Look, Wowie's, Wowie and the A's don't even have Wowie anymore. Wowie actually leaves the team and goes to Very Nice to Me, and this is a big blow to the A's, man. The whole team kind of explodes after that. Moswell was on that roster. He was doing very well. Skilodon's retiring ended up being really, really impactful and stopping what that team wanted to do. So it ends up being kind of a breakup for Wowie and the A's, though they still go by the name without him. We got to have a talk with them about that. Very Nice to Me has looked great since Wowie has been an addition to them. They, I think, are going to be competing with that top spot that is Anxiety Onset at this point. Now, over in Europe, the takeaway that we've kind of had here is that the play has been a little bit slower on the European minor league, but that kind of mirrors the way that the Europeans like to play in the pro league as well. And there's been a ton of talent that has really shown up in the European minor league. I mean, Insignum has looked great so far. Death Panther has been a real big impact for them in the mid lane, but watch out for the Poppies, man. They are on fire right now. Mr. Nazer's return has brought them straight up to the forefront of that league. Now, if you're talking about minor leaguers that are ready to make the jump to the pro league sooner rather than later, first one on my list, got to be Paul. The mid laner for Anxiety Onset has been an absolute terror in the minor leagues so far. What can't this guy do? Well, play everything that everyone else is playing. The Chronoses, the Habwa, that's the Paul signature, and you got to watch out. This guy is a straight up hyper carry. Now, where is he going to fit in the pro league kind of remains to be seen, but if you're an NA SPL team right now that needs to win some games on the back of one player, how could Paul not be the guy? Especially, move someone around. I don't care if you got to move your mid laner to a different role, if that's going to fit your squad better. Pick this dude up. He's a beast. You got to have the guy who's going to control him a little bit, though. It has the mechanics there, but there's a reason he's been so successful, and I think it's because of the way that Payne can kind of control that whole squad, move him where he sees fit. But keep an eye out for Paul in the minor league. Over on the console side of things, we'll start it off in Europe. And look, this new rival squad, the kind of combination of the old Enix and rival rosters has been dominant so far, and they will be dominant for the rest of the year. I've got very little doubts about that. My question is, are they good enough to compete at the international level? And their success from some of their other members, say Vaporish Coast, 50-meter Fly, and Predators, these dudes have had success at the international level, something that really no other European console player can say. Yeah, I know Rival won a set at DreamHack Valencia, but that was really Soar choking away a victory more so than anything that Rival did. Enix earned their victories last year in the fall, and if you're an NA console team in the past, you can kind of breeze over your European matchups. You don't have to worry about those too much. Prepare for your NA squads. I don't think that's the case anymore, man. As long as Rapio can stay aggressive whenever he comes to land, his mindset is going to be critical for this squad. Your jungler's mindset always is critical for this kind of stuff. I really feel like Rival can compete at the international level, and I'm very excited to see them whenever they do come over to North America. Now, on North America, the console side, can I just ask, what is going on with Astral Authority? I mean, this is a team that we've seen a little bit of in the finals. We're broadcasting the finals of these SMITE console series, and I have not seen this team enough for my liking. And even when we have seen them, they haven't really performed that well. There is too much talent on this team to not be in the finals every single week. Matt Quois, a veteran of the console community, has been there, been to multiple world championships. This dude is a beast. Layers, Baronic, Wolves, for God's sakes. Why isn't this team winning everything? I just don't get it. I hope they figure it out. I really think it's a mindset thing for them. They had a couple changes coming in. Layers and Wolves were being led by Brochacho last year, and while Brochacho has moved on and done other things, it's really time for those dudes to step up and be the guys for that roster. I just want to see them play with that aggressiveness. They looked better last week. I hope we get to see them again later on today, and hopefully they'll be able to do some good stuff for us there. That does it for our first iteration of Esports Weekly. Again, pilot episode. Oh, excuse me. I almost forgot one of my favorite parts, the Global Series. Almost skipped ahead a little bit there. Global Series has been really, really solid if you haven't watched it, and particularly Black Dragons has been really, really solid if you haven't watched them. Now, they actually just made a roster change, switching out their jungler. Oship gone, new member coming in, has looked pretty good for them so far. Black Dragons might be the team to watch in all of the Global Series. I mean, you've got your strong teams in other regions. You're going to see these players come into LAN come spring and really fight it out with the international, with the SPL teams, the other squads, but for my money, Black Dragons, the squad to watch if you're checking out that SGS Okay, now that we've got it out of the way, we are done with Esports Weekly this time around. Thank you for sticking with us through the bumps and bruises. Our pilot episode, we're really excited about the future for this kind of stuff. We want to get you, the chat, more involved next week, so make sure you're here for it. It's going to be every Monday, same time, 11 a.m. Make sure you're here. And we're going to start a little bit of a tradition here. We're going to leave you now and every show the rest of the way with your Tollyism.
Oh, hello there. I didn't see you all the way back there. Here as a caster at Hi-Res Studios, I can't speak for others, but as for myself, I love to indulge in the finer things in life. I live my life with an emphasis of rigorous meditation practice, with an insight into the Buddha nature, and also the personal expression of insight in my daily life, especially for the benefit of others. In Zen practice, deliberately irrational statements can sometimes be used in Zen to jar the persons into realizing the limits of the uses of the common intellect. Here's your moment with Tolly.
Left-hand side, I mean, they don't kill those fire archers.
I mean, if the Titan falls to fire minions and there's no one around to hear it, does it even make a sound?
Yes, because the game ends. I get where you were going, but not